Hey guys, I'm Jason, your host of Anchored at Harbor Park. We're back this week with Amy Giese. She is a registered dietitian, and she's going to talk, we're going to talk today about nutrition, specifically for different types of activity levels. We might get into some other stuff as well, depending on the time. But I'll let you introduce yourself first, tell them who you are, what you do, and then we'll get to talking a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm Amy. I've been a dietitian for almost 20 years. And I work at the hospital downtown. I graduated from La Crosse with a degree in nutrition. And I have a specific specialty in nutrition support on the inpatient side, but I really have a vested interest in sports nutrition because I'm an athlete. So I do a lot of studying up. My daughters all are athletes, so I find myself well-versed in sports nutrition as well.
Good. So we get a lot of people who are very new to working out and healthy eating and that kind of stuff. So basically they come in and they think they have to eat a very little amount because they want to lose weight, they want to lose fat. They think that eating means they're going to gain weight. So they come in and they have very little food intake. So let's kind of talk about like someone who's not very active. Well, actually, let's not get into that yet. Let's talk about the myth that you have to eat less to lose weight. Kind of give us your thoughts on that.
Well, extreme calorie restriction is a bad thing. Our bodies will compensate for extreme calorie restriction. Your body will start metabolizing on itself. You'll lose muscle. You could maintain and keep a lot of your fat as you're losing muscle. So It's very counterproductive to come to a fitness facility like Harbor Park CrossFit and try to eliminate your calorie intake.
Right.
Calories to make gains. You need calories to lose weight.
And we're all about making gains here. That's the goal.
Not the weight gain, but
the muscle gains. But no, because your body's machining to fuel it. You know, you're spending calories as you work out. If you're not eating enough, you're not going to have the energy to work out. So once you start eating properly, you're going to have more energy during your workout. You're going to build muscle. You'll be able to push harder during the workouts, and in the long run, it's going to be more beneficial.
Absolutely.
So let's get into some different type of activity levels. So first off, someone who is not very active, maybe they're just sitting at home watching this, super busy at work, and then they have kids, they got to run all over. They don't have time to get to the gym. What do you recommend in terms of like what their diet, not necessarily like what foods they should be eating, but like composition in terms of protein, carbs, fats, that kind of stuff?
Okay, so for someone who's not overly active, pretty sedentary, we recommend 50-25-25 ratio. So 50% carbohydrates, 25% fat, 25% protein.
Okay.
It's pretty much like the base of a pyramid. You know, people who don't work out a lot or very sedentary, they need the very basic minimum of nutrition to maintain their weight and keep them where they're at. You know, always avoiding processed foods, always avoiding added sugars in their diets. Okay,
and I was going to say, because that kind of surprised me a little bit that you'd have 50% carbs. So I'm thinking they're not doing much, they shouldn't have as much. But what would those carbs look like?
The carbohydrates will be from whole grains, okay? So I would say whole grain bread, whole grain cereal, quinoa, farro, ancient grains, legumes like black beans, peas, chickpeas, also from fruit and vegetable.
Okay, what about starch?
Like pasta?
Well, like sweet potatoes, rice.
I do like sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Rice I feel is kind of like a filler. I prefer an ancient grain over rice. It's a lot more nutritional in terms of the B vitamin capacity that it carries. You know, and calorically it's about the same. Ancient grains are also a little higher in protein than rice. So I would put rice at the bottom of my list as far as starches. Potatoes, I love those. Sweet potatoes and white potatoes.
Cool. Okay, so let's get into someone who's moderately to pretty active. Maybe they're coming in 3 to 5 times a week, getting a good workout in for an hour a day. How about those people?
Folks that are moderately active need about 500 extra calories a day. They kind of bump it up, you know, in terms of, okay, you're at your base, and now you need about 500 more calories a day to keep where you're at. The ratios don't change a lot. because you're going from someone who's not active at all, being sedentary, to someone who's working out, doing something physically active for 30 to 60 minutes a day.
Right.
So I would bump up the carbohydrate to about 55% and take the fat down to 30.
Okay, cool. And then we have some people, specifically if they are trying to be a competitive CrossFit athlete, or possibly even just like a high school kid who's working really hard in the gym, like your children, like you said, to play a high level sport. They might be training 2 to 3 hours a day. How about for those people?
Those folks need at least an additional 1,000 calories a day.
Okay.
We recommend even higher amounts of carbohydrates for people. The more active you are, the more carbohydrates you need. Carbohydrates are what our bodies use for energy. Our body shouldn't be using protein for energy. And timing your meals just right will maximize the use of carbohydrates during your workout.
Right. Timing's probably a little farther than the scope of what we want to talk about today. Maybe that'll be a part 2 sometime. What should people do? We kind of talked about this before we got on the air here, in terms of figuring out how many calories you need.
Okay.
It was interesting you said the apps like MyFitnessPal aren't very good in terms of the calculator about telling us how much we need. You want to speak to that a little bit for us?
Absolutely. Anyone who's using apps or any kind of nutrition calculator online needs to be aware that energy calculations usually are off the mark. They're off the mark 80% of the time. The machine cannot account for your muscle mass. It cannot account for your bone mass. So it has no way of knowing how metabolically active you are.
Right.
So oftentimes 80% of the time, the numbers that you get on MyFitnessPal or other apps are wrong.
Right.
So it's important to know that take those numbers that they give you within stride, and if the number seems way off, you have to talk to someone, talk to a professional at Harbor Park, talk to me, any nutrition professional, and we can help guide you in the right direction. The only way to really know how many calories you need in a day is to do a procedure or a test called indirect calorimetry. And basically, it's a machine that you breathe into, and it measures how much oxygen your lungs take in, and then in turn how much carbon dioxide your lungs breathe out. And from that, there's a calculation that's formulated within that machine that spits out your energy expenditure.
Okay. And it's much more precise?
Yes.
Okay.
And accurate, yes.
Okay.
Same thing.
Cool. So, not everyone's going to have access to that. It'd be great if the whole world did. But in the meantime, if someone's just starting from scratch, just recommend talking to someone who has an idea, and then kind of playing it by ear from there, kind of testing up or down where they need to be.
The first thing we want people to do is to get an idea of what they're eating currently. So depending what their goals are, the recommendations are going to be different. So if your goal is to maintain your weight, we want to know what you're eating now. MyFitnessPal works great for that. If you ignore the calories and what that says, you can still log in all of the calories, which are quite accurate on MyFitnessPal. You can log in everything you eat in a day, everything that goes down the hatch, you log, and start from there.
Right.
If it tells you you're eating 1,500 calories a day and you want to maintain your weight, then that's where you need to stay.
Okay, cool, awesome. I think there's a lot of good information. We'll wrap up there, just because I don't want to throw too much at anyone watching. I like the idea of having another go around here in a little bit, and get a little bit deeper, because nutrition, we could talk for hours about it. But yeah, we'll call it a day there. Why don't you tell them if you're on social media or anything like that? I don't know if you are.
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amy Giese, check her out if you have any questions. I don't know if you want them messaging you directly.
I wouldn't mind. No,
okay.
Please do.
Or feel free to message us, Harbor Park CrossFit on Facebook, at Harbor Park CrossFit on Instagram. And as always, subscribe to our newsletter and our YouTube channel. You get notified every time these videos come out. So you can stay tuned for episode 2 with Amy. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. See you next time.